I'm going to show you how to get gem dust in V Rising and how to get a lot of it depending on where you are in the game. So the first thing that you need to know about getting gem dust is defeating a certain V Blood boss called Lydia, the Chaos Archer, because she will let you make the Devourer. This is where you're going to get pretty much like 80% of all the gem dust in the game from. So the Devourer is like this, and you can put gems into here and it'll break gems down into gem dust. That makes the whole process simplified and easy. Then it's just, how can I get gems as fast as possible? And that depends on where you are in the game. If you are endgame level 80, that kind of, really endgame, then you can go to Silverlight Hills. You can either go through Bright Haven, killing people and looting chests and whatever, finding the flawless gems, and or just run around the wildernesses of Silverlight Hills, and look for the highest level of gem outcrops, which I'll show you gem outcrops in a second. And those will frequently drop the flawless, which the flawless give the most. So flawless gems, oh my gosh, flawless gems, 64 gem dust each. The smaller ones will give us still flawless. The smaller ones will give less and less along the way. So if you're lower level, you can still get a lot of gem dust. Instead, you'll just have to stick to whatever the highest zone you can go to and still have a weapon that can break the things, because you have to have a high enough weapon to be able to, weapon or tool, to be able to break the outcrops depending where you're at. Now, the lower level ones, you can just use a copper tool or whatever. When you get higher level, you're going to need, iron tool or silver light tools or so on in order to be able to break them. So here's an example of the type of rock that drops gems. If you're not familiar, it's not the only way to get gems. I'll get to another way in a moment, but this is the best way to get gems. So you'll just break it any way that you can, just like a normal stone, and when it explodes, it will drop gems. In this case, crude, because this is one of the lowest level ones. I'm showing you one in the lowest level place. It can also just drop some gem dust while you're at it too. So you actually just get straight gem dust. So Farbane Woods, you're just going to find the crude ones that give 4 gem dust when you break them down. And here's an example of a bigger vein that you can find. These are the endgame ones. This right now is at Silverlight Hills. They're just random. You'll just find them randomly in random places. They don't always respawn in the same places. And when you break one like this, you'll actually get the flawless gems, which are the ones that will give you a ton of gemstone dust. So again, depending on if you're early game or late game, that will help determine, well, you won't always get the flawless. You'll get regular and flawless. You can get it up to flawless. But if you're end game, that's going to be your best bet. You'll get the most of running around finding those, breaking those. And then also looting Bright Haven's another option. If your early game is just you find whatever ones you can find, you break them open. But there's one more way to get gem dust, and that is from looting containers throughout places. I think some enemies can drop them too, but it's nothing too crazy. The main thing is just looting, going into a village, looting, a dresser, a cabinet, find a random chest and you loot it. You can randomly find gem dust like that. Same thing in Bright Haven, but in larger quantities. So you can either loot it or you can find those gem stones and just break them to get more gem. Get the actual gemstone items. It's one or the other. Those are basically your options. And then you break them down at that Devourer in order to get gem dust. Those are the best ways to get gem dust as far as I'm aware in V Rising.